I did something bad.
All right, and we're live.
All right, so
welcome, viewers to We Like Drinking.
Hey, Jeff McKinney, Dimitri, Trump Studios, whoever you are. Yeah, I did something bad today. You know, I finished my brew day, and Sharon says, "Can you pick some stuff up at Sprouts?" I'm like, "Sure." So I pull into Sprouts, and I see before I pull in, there's a police car right in the middle of the parking lot, and I'm like, oh, and I see two people walking around this patrol car, and I get out and I'm on my way in and I'm checking my list, and one of the people, a lady, comes up to me and asks me if I have a light. I'm like, sorry, I don't smoke. So I keep walking in and I see this big dude carrying a paper bag, and he's obviously has some trouble, and he keeps saying, "I'm the only one. I'm the only one. I'm the only one." And he starts yelling, "I'm the only one." If there wasn't a patrol officer in the parking lot, I wouldn't have done this, but I got right to the curb, right before the doors of the Sprouts, and I said, "I'm the only one." And he started cursing at me and telling me to F off. And all of a sudden, he's yelling at the cop in the middle of the parking lot, "I'm the only one." And you can hear the cop crackle onto his PA system. It's like, "You better move along, fella. I'm the only one."
Way to go, John.
So I caused somebody some distress.
I mean, maybe he's just a really big Melissa Etheridge fan. I don't know.
I kind of feel bad about. Well, you know what? I don't. Maybe I made his day because I interacted with him. I don't know.
You know, sometimes it feels good to do that. Let's get recording. I got you got me you know, feeling like I could share some stuff if you remind me. But yeah, let's start the show. Come on.
All right. Adam, any questions before we hit go?
Nope, I'm good. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Here we go.
Hi, this is Stub from CorkMV.com for the We Like Drinking podcast, where you never drink alone.
At the sound of the tone, the official We Like Drinking time will be 5 o'clock. Commence consumption.
This week on episode 266 of the We Like Drinking podcast, we'll be discussing... Oh, we didn't put anything in there. There's a shock. So we're going to talk about some stuff. And then the most important part is we're going to be talking about Captain Pabst Pilot House with our good friend Adam Powers. So crack open your beers, uncork that wine, and let's get drinking.
Can I say something about the intro?
Yeah, man.
I think Stub needs to read. You know the promo, the intro from Stub. He needs to re-record it and say "fun fact," and we could all yell "fun fact."
That's all I need is you two screaming more over the intro and the music and everything when it's playing. Good intro, Solomon. Thanks for leaving me hanging like that.
Oh, hey, thanks. Sorry. My kids have been sick the last couple of weeks, and now I'm sick. I'm high on flunisolide, which, by the way, if you're going to be sick, ask for the flunisolide spray. That steroid will open the F up out of your nostrils. It's amazing. Everything tastes like
Pennies.
Yeah, pennies. I think that's fair. Yeah, it's like I'm sucking on pennies. That's why I went out of my way to actually not drink anything produced by our guest's establishment, because I don't think that's fair. If I'm like, it tastes like pennies.
All right. So cheers, my podcast drinking friends, and welcome to Happy Hour 266 of your favorite award-winning topical beer and wine education podcast focusing on fun,
Fun.
tasting
Fun.
pennies and yelling at people in the street, the things we do for fun. So be sure you never miss another episode of our show and our brand of drinking fun. Visit WeLikeDrinking.com/subscribe to get yourself signed up. All right. We've got a lot to talk about. We've got a lot to drink. So let's do this. Let's find out who we're drinking with and what we're drinking. We're joined by our usual cast members. We've got our California Sustainable Wine Growing Ambassador and former wine blogger, Jeff Solomon.
Hey, that's me. Hello, everyone.
We have our beer brewer and snake wrangler, John Ruyak.
We need this weather to straighten itself out so I can go check some rattlesnake dens. This is getting depressing.
And I am your host and certified specialist of wine, Jeff Eccles. Now, our guest this week is the general manager of the soon-to-be Captain Pabst Pilot House, currently known as the Pabst Milwaukee Brewery and Tap Room, a 10-barrel tap room being rebranded to honor PBR's founder, Frederick Pabst. The grand opening timed to coincide with the release of their initial craft beer offering and Frederick Pabst's birthday. The beer is called Seabird IPA, and it's happening on March 28th. Please help us welcome Adam Powers. Welcome to the show, Adam. I'm so jealous right now because he actually has a can of Seabird.
I know he showed it to us, and it's not fair.
He just keeps holding it up in front of us to make us all envious.
Good beer.
You can find Captain Pabst on Instagram and Facebook, both at Pabst Brewery. So welcome to the show, Adam. How are you doing this evening?
Good. Just having a Captain Pabst.
Just
Rub it in.
Yeah, just rub it in. So he's got the Captain Pabst. Jeff Solomon, are you drinking Tussin or what do you have there?
The things I do for this show. So, I weaned myself off of the Dayquil yesterday just so I could enjoy a beer today. I've got the Knee Deep Brewing Company out of Auburn, California. This is their, John, you're going to like this. This is their extra IPA known as Citra, which is also a single hop IPA. And if by some chance I happen to finish all 16 ounces of that, I do have the 40th hoppy anniversary from Sierra Nevada out of Chico, California. And this is the last one of my 6-pack, and it is delicious.
Nice. John, what you got rocking there?
Well, yeah, I didn't bring anything to carry beer home. We just released an American style pale ale for the tap room called Singing Road Pale Ale because it's right. The tap room ends right at the end of the Singing Road, which are actually you drive your car across it and it vibrates your car to America the Beautiful. And
wow,
so I brewed a beer called again Singing Road Pale Ale. But I forgot to take anything to work to bring it home with. So I went and got a 4-pack of La Cumbra's Elevated IPA. 7.7% ABV and 100 IBUs. It's a tasty. It's won the GABF IPA challenge in the past.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm hitting repeat because I wasn't at home hardly at all this past weekend. So I'm just going with what I went with last week because I'm cheap like that. So I've got the New Belgium Starship IPA. All right, Adam, can you tell us a little bit about the Seabird?
Yeah. Very sessionable, 4.5 ABV, 45 IBU. Brewed with Magnus and Citra, Cascade, and Mosaic hops. But very easy drinking. It's not super bitter. Goes down smooth.
Nice. How's the reaction been to it so far in the brew house?
It's been really good. We've had it on tap for secretly. We've had it on tap for a good year, but people didn't know. So
Oh, really?
yeah, so we kind of like tested it. We probably brewed it 8 times last year. We called it Captain's IPA, and then we came up with the name Seabird IPA after his last ship that he ran aground in Whitefish Bay in Wisconsin. But yeah, it's gotten good reviews. It's steadily been about 4 or 5 on a beer list, behind obviously the Pabst Blue Ribbon, and then we also have On Decker, and then the craft ones would float around, being 2 or 3 and 4 on the list. So
Okay.
yeah.
Nice. You know, I do just have to, and I know we have a whole lot more to focus in on, but I just have to say, like, I thought it was really cool that as Captain Pabst is starting to release these things slowly, eventually, I'm hoping in California I can get some of these things. I just think it's awesome that you're starting with an IPA at 4.5%, because I think there's really a market for folks that are into that. But I do just have to say one thing. I am known around here for telling people how to run their businesses. And the only problem I have is that it's just not 0.5% higher, so I could use it during the beer mile against these fools.
Maybe
5%.
Yeah.
Damn. Next time.
next time.
You know what? Maybe I'll get some of that in food grade alcohol that John was talking about, and I'll just like top it off, and we'll be good.
Oh, God. Yeah, that'll be great.
All right, let's get into the show. We're going to get to the interview portion, but before that, we got to warm up our head spaces with a little bit we like to call wine, beer, spirit, or pop culture reference. So you know what's happening here, folks. I'm going to give the panel a term, and they're going to try to tell me if it's a wine term, a beer term, a spirit term, or some kind of pop culture reference. The term this week is fib. So is fib a wine term, beer term, spirit term, or pop culture reference? John Ruyak, we're going to start with you this week.
Why? Fib.
You should ask me a question first.
Jeff,
Yes,
you think you could spell that for us?
I can spell it. Capital F, capital I, capital B.
Oh,
Fib.
fib. Okay. So it's not like what I said to some lady if she thought her dress looked good on her earlier today.
Oh God.
Fib. There's Mr. Pibb, but that's Pibb, and that's kind of like a off-brand Dr. Pepper, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
Fib.
there's no soda in this. It's not wine, beer, soda, or pop culture reference.
Fib. I'm gonna say that this is a beer term. It's something fermentation in barrels.
Like that.
Wow.
One. Jeff Solomon.
Would it be correct if somebody put a period behind each of those 3 letters?
I mean, I guess you could.
Okay.
You
All
could
right.
with that.
Okay. So I don't know whether our listeners know or not, but Adam is actually in a pretty awesome rock and roll band. And I don't know if y'all know it or not, but I used to work at a record store. And so I know that when people are really into certain bands, especially ones with like really long, like poetic type of names, a lot of times they just like shorten it to just abbreviations, right? And this is one of those things, which is it's really interesting. The dirt that you dig up, just kind of looking through profiles, right? So early on, when Adam was touring with his band, they found themselves where it's like to make this like gap from El Paso, Texas to Phoenix, Arizona. They just stopped at this like weird dive bar. And there was a cover band called Fib, which stood for Fall In Boy. And so they were a Fallout Boy cover band, but it was really odd because like they're in this like like divey bar, but it was fucking like packed. It looked like an early Pearl Jam video. It was so packed. So yeah, Fall In Boy. It's a pop culture reference.
I can attest that there's a lot of weird between El Paso and Phoenix because that's kind of where I run. You know, there's a lot of weird.
All right.
Wow.
John Ruyak is saying a beer term. Jeff Solomon is saying this is Fall In Boy, so he's going with a pop culture reference. Adam, as the lone person from Milwaukee, what is a fib?
So you're not far off because I actually remember traveling in my band from Albuquerque to Arizona at one point. I don't remember a lot what happened, to be honest with you. So, I mean, it was 3 guys in a van traveling around playing rock music, sometimes to like one person. So
in Nut, at the bar in Nut, New Mexico. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But I don't know what that term is.
Oh,
but
okay.
I'm gonna take a shot. I think it's a beer term.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So we got 2 for beer and 1 for pop culture reference. Fib is in fact, damn it, Jeff Solomon, it's a pop culture reference.
Yeah.
I thought this was going to be a softball for Adam, being that he lives in Milwaukee and he spent the last 10 years in Illinois. That when you out driving in Milwaukee and you fib may cut you off. That's
now I know what it is.
You do?
Yep.
Well, okay. You want to change your answer?
It's definitely pop culture.
It is a bleeping Illinois bastard.
Yeah.
is what is a fib. I also could have gone with bubbler, but I wasn't.
Oh God.
What's a bubble? What's a bubbler?
It's a water fountain, for Christ's sakes.
Oh.
Bubbler. Yeah.
But instead of bubbler, I went with fib.
Fib.
Whoop. Wrong
I
button.
was thinking beer and wine. You threw me off there.
Yeah. I thought I might get you with the double Illinois Milwaukee reference there. All right, excellent work. Oh, and it was fib. All right, so let's get into
a very local pop culture reference.
It's a very Milwaukee pop culture.
See, we're called Fall In Boy.
That will not be the last time you hear that, Adam. I'm
sure.
The show. All right, so let's get back to the Pabst Pilot House, Captain Pabst Pilot House. You're currently going through this rebranding. Again, listeners, they're changing the tap room from the Pabst Milwaukee Brewery and Tap Room to the Captain Pabst Pilot House, and you know you see this kind of thing happen every now and then, but this one doesn't feel like it's just a name change. The new name really conveys, it seems like a major change from concept to production. So what can you tell us about what's changing when a customer walks through the door at what will be called the Captain Pabst Pilot House?
Basically all the logos. No.
What a fib.
Yeah, right. No, it's deeper than just like the tap room. So if you look back at like Captain Pabst in general, and you like look at the story of his life and what he's done, not even just in the beer industry, but even before that as a ship captain. So basically, like the tap room is kind of like an extension from the brand, the Captain Pabst brand as a beer. But the story that we're telling is basically between when his whole family came over from Germany to all the way to the Blue Ribbon. So once the Blue Ribbon hits, that's the story's over. So we're trying to capture that kind of feel, that vibe of what Captain Pabst was doing, being a ship captain and then being a beer baron, and also elevating his story. He's not just a regular guy; like he was a pretty awesome dude. So trying to like bring some of that stuff in the tap room. The tap room is going through very slight changes inside and outside. We're adding just like some decor and natural woods and iron and sprucing it up a little bit. It's going to have a little bit more of a premium feel. You can still get your Pabst Blue Ribbon, but it's going to have that little feel. We're also like changing up the menu a little bit. So we'll have the Captain Pabst Signature Series, which that will really focus on just like craft stuff we're doing just for the room. It does not leave the four walls.
Oh, nice.
Nice, cool.
Which is cool. So we can do anything from basically anything. We've got a sour on, we got a stout on, and people walk.
See if we get him back here. All right. Well, Adam, if you can hear me right now, you've locked up. So we just need you to probably just exit the room and come back in. And there he is.
There we go.
There we go.
Nope, no worries. I'm going to kick out your other one. I think this
Boot the clone.
Boot the clone.
Okay. All right. You still with us?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. What was he saying when he locked up? Did you?
Starting about a sour, a stout.
We have all kinds of stuff on. It's not just, everyone walks through things. Every beer on tap is red, white, and blue, or on deck, or something we brewed in the past, But it's all very new. We have the Captain Pabst Pilot House series, which is all craft stuff. We have the legacy brands, which is all the old stuff. So we're brewing red, white, and blue, on decker, Schlitz, Erlanger, like all kinds of old stuff that we actually own. Bringing them back to life, and then we'll have the Pilot series, which are our brew master, Zach Krieger. He works on a lot of the national brands, so they'll be like, hey, we need this type of beer to go with Rainier or Lone Star or whatever it is, and he'll be asked to like pilot that recipe and start it and then send it out for tasting, and then you never know, it might hit the shelf. So it's kind of idea you can get in there, try something that's never even been out to market yet, and you might be able to like be the first one to taste it. So
that's awesome. And that was something I was, because with the name like Pilot House, it really seems like, is there going to be experimental brews going in here? And if stuff is well received enough, you could start producing it at a larger scale and maybe nationwide. Is that kind of the ultimate goal? Is this kind of an experimental house for you guys? Yeah,
it definitely is. And if you go back to like the history of like some of the brands we brought out in the past, we kind of like, we just said, hey, let's go to market with the whole thing all across the country, Yeah. But now we're really focusing on let's test the water, see where it goes, see how the feel is. Wisconsin is the Captain Pabst Seabird IPA. People are loving it in Wisconsin because it's got a story, it's got a feel. It's doing well here, but we don't know outside that right now where it will go. So hopefully, that is the goal, to kind of pilot other brands to make them move. So
that's awesome. And as I kind of look, because we've talked about Pabst Blue Ribbon several times on the show, not just the beer, but about things that you've done. When you were going through and buying up the old styles and the Strohs. And the Olympias, we thought that was great that you were doing that, and then releasing those regionally, and more with them in some cases. and then you go and pull this, and you completely blow our minds, right? So, you had done that, and now you've decided to launch your, essentially your own craft brewery. And really, I guess the big question is, why do this? Why not just buy up a craft brewery that's already successful, like so many of your competitors have done?
Yeah, I just think we have we have a great story to tell. Like we have a craft beer. Like the thing about it, Pabst Blue Ribbon was like one of the first craft beers ever. So like we have the story. We don't have to find that. Like a lot of these other brands, like if Pabst did not come over here and do this, some of the larger brands, the one right down the street from us, wouldn't be there either, because like part of the whole story is Pabst coming to town and even the Best family coming to town and breaking off and starting these other companies. And so we have the story. Let's tell it, instead of just like, hey, we'll just go grab this place. So
yeah, and I just love that idea, because I like that I want to say, elevating who Pabst is.
Yeah.
His name is already synonymous with beer. Why not elevate it? So I just think it's and let us get to know him more, make his name even more iconic than it already is.
Yeah.
John Ruyak.
So the kind of thing that's so interesting to me is that you're breathing life into legacy,
right?
Which is just so cool. I mean, everybody knows I just absolutely love where I work. I love brewing beer. I love the fact that we're small and people walk by and see me in the brewery and they're like, "Hey, thanks for making the beer." Or one guy says, "Thanks for making the donuts." Hey, Kevin. Kevin listens. Hey, Kevin. But that's really cool. Before the show, I think I mentioned that I helped start a brewery in Costa Rica.
Yeah.
And Costa Rica is in the central time zone. So a lot of people tend to vacation within their same time zones when they're traveling south. So they spend a lot of time flying north to south. They don't want to fly east to west and change time zones. So when we were in Costa Rica, it pulled a lot of people from Houston all the way up through the center of the continent, which included Chicago, Milwaukee, Madison, Calgary, Edmonton, those types of places. And it seems like the craft brewing revolutions that has taken over North America has moved inward from the coasts. And it without, I don't want to seem, but it seemed like there was a lot of people that were just hanging on to tradition with the major craft houses that we all know and not necessarily love, but we understand that there's breaking with tradition in the center of the country is taking a little bit longer.
Yeah,
how do you see overcoming that challenge with this project?
I think growing, like not trying to grow too fast as what we're doing. I think that's one of the things we learned really fast. Like, we've had this facility for this is our third year being open. But we try to do some things. We're like, yeah, we'll pilot this brand and then just launch it. Like, let's be back in Milwaukee. Let's be grassroots, like either doing collaborations or whatever it is, like growing the brand inside of that, opposed to trying to just like explode the world about craft beer that Pabst is doing. So keep it super inside Milwaukee at first, and then kind of grow from there.
So a gradual thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
I do like the fact that you can still get cheese curds at your place.
You can, yeah. We actually sold out of cheese curds last weekend.
Awesome.
What?
Yeah. It was crazy.
That's an emergency. That's an emergency.
That's a 911 call right there.
Yeah. We had a huge so the tap room is does two functions. Like we serves like basically you get there, get the beer or whatever. But then we have a full like venue in there as well. So we had a concert and we had like a full day like thing. And next thing you know, it's like kitchen's like, we're out of cheese curds. We're like, what? Can we out of cheese curds?
We got 6 hours to go.
Yeah, exactly.
That's mutiny on the seabird right
Yeah,
there.
right. Yeah.
Solid.
So yeah, I really think it's cool what Pabst is doing specifically with the Captain Pabst line and specifically with the Captain Pabst Pilot House. It reminds me of, when my folks first moved to the greater Sacramento area and I first started exploring like the wine country of Lodi. And I remember like the first time my wife and I were like, you know what? Let's stop by the Woodbridge facility by Robert Mondavi. It's like the largest winery in the world.
Yeah.
And I'm like, let's just swing by. They have a tasting room. Like, this should be interesting. And we almost went in there like kind of as a joke. And what happened was we roll up to this high class wine tasting where they're like, yeah, you've probably seen our 2-liter bottles on the bottom shelf. This is the other stuff we're working on. And I had the most delicious Petite Syrah I've ever had in my life at the Woodbridge tasting room. And there's this part of me where it was like, as I was looking at your tasting menu at Captain Pabst, I was like, this is exactly what I would want to see at this big brand, like showing us all this really cool stuff. Cause it's like, there's a lot of conversations with folks about like, especially like really like, digging deep, like craft beer people who are like arguing over whether or not like a Budweiser or a Coors could make a good IPA on their own. And here you are as Pabst kind of showing like, well, yeah, of course we could. This is beer that's just flowing through us. So of course we could do these things.
Right.
And it makes me really happy to see that. And I guess what I was kind of wondering, piggybacking off of some ideas you were saying, like the Seabird is really popular in your area right now. I'm wondering, has the noise from the craft beer community at large, have they been kind to you? Have they been positive?
Yeah, they've been positive. Like right now, like we're gonna like a few actually collaborations. I think putting let's go back to like when we opened up this little facility and everyone's like, okay, Pabst is coming back to brew in Milwaukee. That was like a huge thing. But there were people thinking that we were going to open up the large facility. Like we're going to go back to brewing all the Pabst back in Milwaukee. And then everyone found out we got this little small church. It's small, it's unique. And then they found out like we're doing like the small stuff and the vibe was really good, but it wasn't until recently that we really started launching like an IPA and kind of changing the story, because we kind of got lost on the Pabst grounds. It sounds weird, but like on the complex, there's a couple other businesses that use Pabst in their name and all that stuff. So the rebrand's not only just for the beer itself, but also trying to get an identity like back like where we are. And then once we kind of did that, like we've gotten chirps from, local small craft places. They're just like, hey, let's do something. That sounds like cool stuff you're doing over there. So it's definitely helped that, definitely. So, but yeah, it's been pretty warm. Milwaukee they call it small Milwaukee for a reason. I'm not joking. Like when I first moved here, I was like, where is everybody? But I enjoy it. It's everyone kind of knows everybody. I mean, you can get everywhere in 15 minutes and the craft scene here is exploding. So
that's awesome. And I do just have to say, like, looking at that menu right now, it ran the gamut. And I have to ask specifically, because I'm sure you guys have a lot of fun, especially when it's like in-house only type of things. Lando's Lime, lime flavored malt liquor. Is that an homage to Billy D. Williams?
all right, so okay, so this is how this is how a couple guys in the tap room with a few beers in them. This is how we name a beer. So that was a innovation beer that was going to be used for another one of our brands. I'm pretty sure you can probably figure out which one it is.
Mm-hmm.
So we brewed it for an actual rapper that we had a meeting with, and yeah, it's a malt liquor. And we're just like we're sitting there like trying to think of names, and me and the brewer Zach were just like had a couple beers. Next thing you know, we're like shooting off names. It's like it's got this lime flavor. It's like Star Wars is coming out. The new one. I was like Lando's Lime. I was like, yeah, let's do it. Okay, cool.
That has to be so fun. Like it took me a second as I'm reading through. I'm like, huh, Lando's Lime, and then I read the description. I'm like, oh, I know.
Yeah.
By the way, me and my homies in the dorms, like we used to honestly like shove lemon wedges into our Colt 45 before we took it to the house. So I know.
Yeah. But what's crazy is that like last weekend, I was like, where's all this beer going? And people are buying that beer by the pitchers. You're drinking malt liquor, man, with lime in it. It's like, all right, cool.
See,
call the Uber bus.
Yeah, exactly.
Right there. That last sentence is how you full know that Adam is sitting in the Midwest. Jeff Solomon or John Ruyak. When was the last time you were in a bar or tavern in your town and you could order a pitcher of beer?
It's been a quick minute. The only time it happens now is if they have beer pong tables, and they have like a Mexican craft lager available. But it'll run you a pretty penny. That's for sure. So beer pong got expensive over the last 15 years.
It's so rare for me to be in Colorado and be able to order a pitcher of beer. But the minute I go back,
that'll be $30, please.
Yeah,
right.
The minute I go back to the Midwest, it's pitchers everywhere. So
pitchers all day.
That is, God, those are such good stories. So
I just spent $45 and you're gonna throw a dirty ass ping pong ball in it?
So under the Captain Pabst label, Adam, I know you have 3 beers planned for release.
Yeah.
So I guess I kind of have a couple questions here. Why go with a session IPA first? I mean, the IPA I get, but I'm just curious why to go with the session IPA first, and then what are the next 2 that you're looking at, and what kind of timeline are we looking at?
Yeah, I mean, IPA, as you guys know, it's one of the best-selling SKUs in America. I mean, it still is, but doing a sessionable was just there wasn't a lot of competition out there really, and trying to put it in a spot where we feel it would sell, and going down the road in the next, hopefully in the next couple months here, you'll see something that is actually Wisconsin's love this beer. It's currently on our tap list. It's currently one of our best sellers. Almost beats PBR. So yeah, I'm not going to say what it is because somebody printed it. You can probably find it out there.
Yeah, I think I know which one it is.
Yeah. So that will be the next one. And then after that, we're not really sure. We got a couple of ideas floating around, maybe a sour or something different, but yeah, you'll see hopefully one this year and then early 2021, the next one.
Okay.
Yeah. I really think the next one will have some serious fire because we have people come in the tap room and buy 20 crawlers of it to go. I'm not joking.
Wow.
And it's an easy drinking beer. It's just nothing spectacular. But
is that kind of a mission with the beers that you are making? Is that they're sessionable and very easy drinking and kind of in that realm for beers?
Yeah, we've noticed that as Pabst, and we try to get real cute and do weird stuff, we'll sit on the beer more,
Okay.
So we haven't gotten that credibility yet, where it's like, oh my God, they put out some crazy beer and we gotta go get it. It's more of that. Pabst is still associated with that light lager, easy drinking beer. So
Okay.
we've noticed those move faster. So
Okay.
when we bring stuff, especially just for the tap room, so most of it is just consuming the tap room, we kind of like keep that in mind, so we're not sitting on a bunch of beer. But there is one beer that we brewed. This is our third year brewing it. It's called Name Day. It's a chocolate ale, and it tastes like a Tootsie Roll. But we have people like come from all over the place to get it now. And it was more of a like, hey, let's do a brown ale. And then someone was just like, hey, let's do a chocolate brown ale and make it super light to drink. And it's like our kind of, we put it out every spring, which is weird, but it's like our birthday cake for our anniversary, the idea.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, but it's easy drinking. And we're like, well, we can't put out like a big stout like in the spring. That doesn't work, So we went with a light ale. So.
Nice. John,
Yeah.
it looked like you had a question.
So, I hope I'm not walking on thin ice. So, what's your brewer's name?
Zach Krieger.
Zach. I know, when bigger houses like Anheuser-Busch came out with that amber that was to commemorate veterans and things of that nature, and it was aged in, was it Jack Daniels barrels or something of that
I
nature?
remember. Move on.
So, but when I tasted it, it was well made, but I immediately knew that it was brewed by Anheuser-Busch.
Mhm.
It was just like, it had that signature taste.
Yep.
Was that something that Zach is trying to avoid, people associating all of the way the beer tastes with Pabst? Is there trying to, because breweries can establish a flavor profile trademark,
Right.
even though there's different styles that you want to maybe just, I don't want to say stay away from, but differentiate yourselves.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think Zach he's got a little more creative juices than the last guy. I mean, the other guy still works for the company, but he's oversees all the large production now.
Right.
Took his spot, and but yeah, Zach definitely does have his own little creative idea, and he's not afraid to make a little gamble, just because he knows it is only going to the tap room. And have I told him like, hey, that beer sucks? Yes. But I think that's what you have to do. Like, I mean, he's a young brewer. He's 26 years old.
Oh, nice.
So he's a young guy. He's super smart and does some really good stuff. And we work together really well. Like, we come up with kind of like the idea of what beers we're going to kind of do next. Like right now we're working on a collaboration with a brewery, and it's going to be a French toast dessert beer.
Oh,
yeah. So it's
nice.
like, yeah, it's he just has creative ideas and not afraid to kind of like miss every once in a while. But yeah, I think he's got a good movement right now of like what his kind of trademark is, because he is the one that did brew the Name Day at the first time, and people would look for that. So yeah, I would say trying to get away from that, hey, we know this is a Pabst brand. Yeah, he's definitely doing that.
Awesome. So if I could do a follow-up question, so is there a blueprint in your mind, or in corporate's mind, about how you're building the culture and steps?
Right now, like, the blueprint is around the Captain Pabst brand. So that would be like the ones that are hitting market. In the tap room is kind of, what trends are out there, like what things are happening, trying to keep ahead of those things or trying new things, just being really a craft brewery, keeping our ear to the ground, and stepping back and not trying to like think about all the stuff that corporate might be like, hey, you need to brew this for this brand or whatever it is. It's just trying to keep our head to the ground and see what's happening out there.
So real quick, so they've given you a little bit of autonomy then, it sounds like.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
We can kind of brew whatever we want and, in retrospect, but yeah.
PBR is just this beautiful slice of Americana. And having I was in college before the craft beer boom, but not before I felt like hipsterism became very like mainstream. And in my neck of the woods in San Jose, California, people weren't really exploring like IPAs or anything like that. If you were really exploring beers, you were exploring like what's the macro lager that you're into.
Right.
And when my homies and I from Streetlight Records used to roll down to the Blank Club in downtown San Jose, we would drink PBRs and nothing but PBRs. And yes, it was the cheapest beer on the list, but also it was exactly what we wanted. And I'd envision that you do get a lot of old timers like me coming into the room and talking, like regaling you with all these like PBR stories.
Yeah.
And I just have to ask you this, because I'm sure also that people have like their own little like PBR inventions. My buddy Joey Myers, and I never missed an opportunity to drop his name because he was the drummer for Hayride to Hell. Joey Myers, who was also a bartender at the Blank Club, told me he invented a drink. He was the first one to do it. It was called, instead of the black and tan, it was the black and blue, which was PBR and Guinness together. And so I just need verification. Before today, had you ever heard of anybody doing anything like this? So I can now start a Wikipedia page and to mark that Joey Myers, drummer from Hayride to Hell, came up with the black and blue at the Blank Club in San Jose, California in the year 2002.
I have not heard that, so you can have it.
Fuck yeah!
Great.
You want to talk about stories though? You're saying like old, like
I'd love to hear some.
Yeah, like I mean, there's people that come in the brewery that worked in the brewery back in like the 70s, and those are the best ones because they remember like when it closed and all this stuff, and it's crazy. Like everybody has a story, and my bartenders they're like storytellers as well, because not only do you have to like know like probably a good 70% of the history of Pabst, because if you don't, someone's gonna ask you about it, right? Yeah. So having that portion, but like these people come in, always have stories, always have a tattoo on there, like just crazy shit you never even think of. And it's like, holy cow, like this is amazing. Like it's the best place to work, It's like all these crazy people coming in.
That's amazing. Speaking of the stories, I'm sure as part of this launch that you're doing about with the Captain Pabst, what is one of your favorite Frederick Pabst stories that you've learned since coming on this ride?
A real story or a fake story?
Whichever one, I don't
both.
Or a stretch story. I would say definitely like when the whole beer is called Seabird for a reason, but I think just him becoming before he got into brewing, just getting into the shipping industry of shipping passengers back and forth from Chicago and back and forth, not being anybody, I think you go back to like the American dream, right? If that's out there still. But like, came over from Germany, he was a cabin boy at first, worked his way up to being a ticket taker, and then ended up buying shares onto a boat. I mean, I think that's the coolest story of any brewer would ever want, And then all of a sudden he's like, hey, I ran my ship aground in Whitefish Bay to actually save everybody, then took my insurance money, bought into my father-in-law's brewery, and then made it the largest brewery in America at one point. Like that's a pretty damn cool story.
That is a story.
America.
America.
Yeah.
We'll keep on the story train here. So you have another life outside of
Do I? I'm not sure.
I'll let Jeff Solomon get to the bassist questions. But you were in a band called Friend Called Fire, rock and roll band.
Yep.
So you went from being in a band, touring. How has that life helped you in the brew life?
Well, I never thought I'd be in beer like ever. I was like, well, I'm going to be, running a concert venue or whatever it is. That's what I thought where I was going to be. I mean, being in a band was like always a passion. Found music when I was young, right? And then moved to Chicago. You got to get a job to live in that city, right? So bounced around through a few places, worked at House of Blues, worked at Live Nation. Then I ran a club called the Elbow Room, which is a small place in Chicago, holds like 200 people. Knew the Pabst guys really well. And this whole time I was playing in my band, A Friend Called Fire. We've been a band for 12 years now. Yeah, 12 years now. And we still play here and there. But I was actually thinking about this today. I don't know why I was thinking about it, but now, like, being in a band, I don't play a lot anymore, but it's that creative outlet, right? Mm-hmm. And this place that I run now, it's my creative outlet. So yeah, it's brewing beer and putting on shows and stuff like that. Some of it's work, some of it's really fun to do. That's why I do live one block from the brewery, and that's why I went down and got this beer. But it's more of a passion, like seeing the place move, seeing people happy. And it's the same thing playing in a band. Like, you want people to enjoy what you're doing and connect. And I'm doing that not with music as much anymore, but with a brand that I enjoy working for.
The community of beer. I got a question about House of Blues, but not House of Blues itself. There's a killer breakfast place right across the street.
The Chicago one?
Yeah.
I mean,
you have to wait in line. We stayed at a hotel just on the other block. My niece got married in Chicago 2 years ago.
That's a steak place.
What's that?
Smith and Lewinsky's. That's a steak place. That's right there.
Oh, boy, the House of Blues is right there, right across the street. There's this breakfast place.
Everybody, get your Yelp out. Look for breakfast place with a line out the door on a Sunday morning.
John. You were pretty hammered when I saw you on that trip in Chicago.
Oh my God! Yeah, I remember, man. I was pretty wasted one night.
All right.
The next morning, that breakfast plate was the size of a freaking manhole cover, and I ate every bit of it.
With as messed up as you were, I wouldn't be surprised if it was a manhole cover. And you just happened to be some Taco Bell that somebody had thrown out when they were done partying the night before. All right, Jeff Solomon. Everybody at this point knows that Adam plays bass.
Yep.
And they know that you've been for 5 years asking the same question. So I guess it's time for you to talk to Adam.
Adam, how come bass players always look surprised when they hit that one note? Like, ooh?
Why?
Well, yeah, what's that about? How come bass players are always like what's coming, but then there's always this, oh?
Because it feels good, man. He's like, yeah.
You know what? I'm a fumbling guitarist, and I hit that note occasionally. It's all the other ones that's after that I screw up.
It's me when I accidentally land a frontside 180 on my skateboard. I go, huh? How'd that happen?
Oh my goodness! I have so many more questions, but we're starting to get short on time. So guys, I'll offer up one more question. John Riek.
No, this has just been super cool. If I ask a dumb question, I'll just ruin it.
Jeff,
what's the worst concert you have ever played?
Ever played?
Yeah.
Oh man. I got 2. I was in Norfolk, Virginia, played a New Year's Eve party. None of us remember playing the New Year's Eve party. It went well. But that was the worst because we weren't sure if we were going to get paid because we weren't sure how good we were. The other one was Kansas City. We're on tour coming back from the East Coast. We had like $20 left to put in our gas tank, and we got it. And then Kansas City was a guaranteed, like we actually got paid. Like it didn't matter if anybody showed up, we still got paid, right? We play this show. One person showed up. It pays $150 for one person to show up.
That's some ROI right there.
Did
That's
that one
awesome.
person have a good time?
Yeah, they were rocking out. Yeah, it was great.
Okay, one more.
I'm guessing. Did you stage dive in that concert? I hope not.
No, absolutely not. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Excluding $0, because we know that happens sometimes.
Oh yeah.
What's the worst like item you were paid with in lieu of dollars?
Worst item. This is a big item, but it was the scariest thing ever. Jackson, Mississippi. We're heading to South by Southwest. We stop at this place. I mean, it's a hole in the wall. I'm pretty sure at one point it definitely was a hooker place because you walk down
Got paid in a box of condoms,
and there's like just all kinds of weird like little rooms and stuff. So we play the show, we get done. The guy's like, well, no one really came. We don't really have anything to pay you, but we have a place for you to sleep. We're like, okay, like where is that? It's like, it's upstairs. So we walk upstairs and find this just disgusting roach infested like living room area. He's like, you guys can sleep here. We're like, absolutely not.
Awesome. All right. Do you have a personal favorite Friend Called Fire song?
Yes. It's called The Lightning.
Okay.
It's we wrote this a while back, but it's one that will hit every chord in your body if you listen to it. So.
Awesome. I think that's it for the questions, Adam. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you guys. That was awesome. That was fun.
I really look forward. You said it on the show, so we're going to hold you to sending us at least one can each.
I will.
That beer.
I will.
We'll time it so that we all drink it on the same show or something.
There we go.
But listeners, I hope you will check out the brew house. I hope you will check out the pilot house. Check out the can for this. Check out the artwork for it. We were talking about the show before the show. We are all big fans of the branding that they're doing with this, and really excited for it. Milwaukee and Chicago initially is where you're looking at releasing it, correct?
Yeah, it's out right now in Milwaukee and Chicagoland area.
And do you know of any plans shipping further than that?
No, not right now. We gotta see how it goes first. Yeah.
Yep.
But just a little tidbit on the can. Like, there's a lot of story in this can. Like, I'm not gonna go into detail right now, but everything on this can, there's a purpose all the way from the cheese that's on it to the horseshoe to the names of the comet and the Huron, the longitude and latitude that are on here. So there's a lot of info on here. We're kind of letting the consumers kind of decipher. Yeah.
Awesome. Nice. So cool. And we can get eventually when it finally makes its way out further, because we're all looking forward to it. Yeah. I'm all about saving my carbon footprint out here in California. Is there any way I can get a 99 pack of that?
I can hardly even get a 99 pack, man. All right, here's a little story real quick about the 99 pack. The thing is, like it's not coming like off a truck, like kind of thing. We actually have to pack it ourselves. So like people out in like the sales guys are actually packing the 99 pack full of.
Oh, are you serious?
That's why it's tough to get one, but it's a great marketing.
Oh, okay. With Adam talking about his favorite songs and worst places to stay in cockroach infested places, the 99 pack, and everything else. It must be
Last call.
Last call.
last call. Time to clean house and lock the doors. You know what we do here, folks. We're looking for a little bit of help from you. Follow us on the social media platforms. You can follow us on Twitter at We Like Drinking 1. That's the number 1. On Instagram and Facebook at We Like Drinking, or join our private Facebook group known as The Tavern by visiting welikedrinking.com/tavern. See how simple that is, John? It's like really, really easy to get through that stuff.
I got it done. I do it two out of 3 times.
Adam, remind our listeners again the best places to find you and Captain Pabst on the social spaces.
Yeah, so you can find us on Instagram and Facebook as the Pabst Brewery. And then if you're looking for the Captain Pabst brands, it is Captain Pabst 1864, because 1864 is when Captain Pabst started brewing.
Nice. John Ruyak, if the folks want to let us know what they think about this show, where can they do so?
Search us up on your favorite podcast catcher, in particular, Apple Podcasts, and leave us a review. 5 stars, because, that's what we deserve. And if you enjoyed it, subscribe a friend and have them do a review too.
Absolutely. And Jeff Solomon, if the folks have done all that and they're looking to become an Uber supporter of the show, what can they do?
Well, I feel like I let loose on everybody last week, so I'm going to be a little bit more kind. If you're expecting us to care about you in any way, I think it's fair that you show that you care about us, and that comes with a monetary donation. This is not a show that exists for free. I've got 3 children that I have to put to bed before I do this show. You think that that's something that, piece of cake doing the show? No, it costs dough. And if you don't think that $1 a month is worth your time, you should quit listening. Please unsubscribe. But for the rest of you that actually care about supporting the arts, welikedrinking.com/pledge to find out how you can become a patron of this fine show. We've got stickers.
You can also find the show notes for this episode with all the links to the stories or mentions we had at welikedrinking.com/episodes. All right, listeners, I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. I was so stoked to find out that we were getting Adam on the show, and it has been all it was cracked up to be. This has been a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to watching Captain Pabst and the growth that's going to come from it. And we just can't wait to see that happen. But now is the time of the show where I get to say, okay, panel, let's take one last trip around this table and get some final thoughts before we shut off the lights. John Ruyak.
I've got issues.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah, I know you guys know, but I've got issues in particular. This is my Andy Rooney segment, and I'm not going to swear, although I'm going to come close. It's about food blogs.
What?
Food blogs. What the F is up with food blogs? You know what? You go, you search a recipe on your phone or your computer, and it looks like a delicious recipe. And I've got to read a freaking story. I don't give a flying F about whether you're going to ride a toboggan down a hill with your Shiba Inu riding in the front of the toboggan, just like Max from The Grinch Who Stole Christmas. I don't give an F about whether you have some kind of epiphany about Brussels sprouts when you're sliding past all the pine trees. Just give me the GD recipe, right? I don't care about all the other bullshit. All right? I haven't sworn a lot on this episode. I don't care about all this stuff. Give me a little link that goes straight to the recipe so I can go past all your stupid bullshit because you didn't get your book published by some major publisher in New York. I just want the recipe. That's it.
This segment of Chaps My Ass brought to you by, no kidding, Jeff Solomon.
Yeah, John got me inspired by this like manhole size breakfast or whatever. So, one of the greatest comedy albums of all time is from a guy named Norm Macdonald, and I'll let y'all just like kind of like go search it out and try to figure it out. But here's a song from one of my favorite sketches. Cut the music. I don't want to be a doctor, a lawyer, or a tax collector. I just want to be the thing that I love, and that's a manhole inspector. Bring the music back.
Shit falls apart at the end of the show, Adam. Adam, any final thoughts before I kick these guys out?
Not really, guys. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. Yeah, it's been a blast. I'll send you guys some of this.
Can't wait. Awesome. Adam Powers, thank you so much for joining us on the show to tell us the story of Captain Pabst and what you guys are doing there. I really am impressed that you guys are taking really the time and effort to do this, to make sure that when you release a beer that it stands up to, you know, the taste test, all the things that you would expect from something with the name Pabst on it. So I appreciate what you all are doing there at Pabst, and I appreciate you taking the time to join us on the show. It has been an honor to have you on. So thank you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
And with that, we'll say thanks again for joining us at the We Like Drinking podcast, where you'll never drink alone. We totally forgot to add we do that.
Checking out the manholes.
God, we are a shit show sometimes. I love it. All right. Please.
Oh,
Adam, that was a blast, man. Thank
that
you
was
so much.
fun. That
Good.
was fun.
That was good. Thanks, guys.
My
Appreciate
phone
it.
is already blowing up with people saying how much they're enjoying this. So
Good.
I'm just saving this really quick. That's why I'm seem to be checked out right now. I just want to make sure I get this before we get any further. If I can ever get there. There we go. And this is episode.
Is now where we say goodbye to YouTube.
Yeah, I just want to get the save in here real quick. Okay, we got that. YouTube, thank you all so much for being here tonight.
Bye, everybody. Hey, later, Cody. Bye, Ice Cramp.
Ice cramp.
See y'all next week.
Well, at least Cody upped his contribution by 50 cents a month.
He